On today's episode of the Finish Line, me, Richmond Webb, and Mr. BallGame will discuss a multitude of Miami Dolphins topics, including: are the Lions calling the Miami Dolphins about availability of a certain edge player due to the fact they just recently lost Aiden Hutchinson? Holland, is he going to be playing with a hand wrap instead of a cast? Did the Indianapolis Colts go out and try to get a competitive advantage for week 7 today with a practice squad signing? Fitzpatrick gives Tua some injury advice, and Tyreek Hill, he finally commented on the recent rumors of him being traded to Kansas City. So we'll talk about all of that and so much more. Do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you are new, and let's get into this.
Touchdown! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! He's got field on the near side, that open, touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it over a touchdown again! Touchdown! Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
All right, huddle up, huddle up. We're gonna crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, 80. Wait, set. Drivers, start your engines.
This is the Finish Line.
I coached some great offensive linemen in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers, and Richmond Webb belongs to that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. BallGame.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here for another one as we dive Fin too deep with myself, Richmond Webb, and Mr. BallGame. Oh, sorry. What am I talking about? I always get the Finish Line and Fin too deep stuff screwed up.
Back up. Too deep.
Sorry.
Back up a little bit.
Yeah, I got a little too deep with that. We welcome you to the Finish Line with myself, Richmond, and BallGame. Fin too deep's tomorrow with me and Neil Driscoll, FYI. So check that out at 5:00. Let's get into this. Guys, we're coming off the bye week. Not much to talk about with the Dolphins in the sense of a game. Let's do this at least. Hey, we didn't lose this week, so that's a positive. But hey, some things have gone on. I want to get your guys' opinion. Devontae Adams traded to the Jets. Amari Cooper traded to the Bills. And it kind of feels like it was, we should have beat you if Greg Zuerlein hit those field goals. Let's go get Adams. And then the Bills were like, all right, you guys are going to get Adams. Here's our response. I expect the Dolphins to stay pat because they got 3 games until the trade deadline. What are your guys' thoughts on the shape and the status of the AFC East as it's currently shifted with these new additions? And how you doing overall, Richmond? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I think you said it best. You know, we didn't lose this past week, so that was a good feeling. We had the bye week. we got some injuries, give them time to get healthy and stuff. But I was thinking the same thing with, Amari Cooper going to the Bills and Devontae Adams to the Jets. And I watched that game Monday night, and even with all that, we're one game out of first place. So it's like, even though we hadn't played our best football, we still got some positives if we can just kind of take that udder and stir the ship in the right direction. We still in a good spot, but it just shows you how much more competitive the AFC East just got when you add additions like, Cooper and Adams to, division rivalries and stuff like that. So, hey, it is what it is. We got to, whatever it is, you got to meet the challenge. But looking forward to this Sunday. I know we go on the road against Indianapolis, and hopefully we can get another one in the win column and get back to 500. So I'm good. Looking forward to seeing some Dolphin football this weekend. How you doing, Mr. BallGame?
It was a good time, man. Good time. It's always good to have a Sunday of football and then not be on the losing end. So it's always a plus. Guys had a extended amount of time to go back and take care of some of the bumps and bruises and things of that nature. I'm going to be honest with you, though. I think all this movement around is the fact that they know that our guys coming back. And in order to be able to effectively, if we can get either 3-3 or basically over 500 by the time he comes back, the fireworks start again all over again, depending on how much of a workload Mike puts on him. And I just think they want to be in the best position to be able to continue to compete, right? They might not like the fact that Jets might not like the fact that, Buffalo squeaked one out against them or whatnot. But in the case of the matter is I still feel like we're a better team than the Jets, better team than the Patriots. And on any given Sunday, I just feel like if we execute properly, we can beat the Bills too. They can be got. Right, there's not much difference when you think about now the landscape of the AFC, and a lot of things are right there for the taking. So for me, I'm still optimistic that we can get on the positive side of the momentum thing and ride this wave, bro. Additionally, we'll get into it, right? We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, but okay, let me ask you this, BallGame.
Yeah,
Holland could be playing with a hand wrap. Okay. Poyer, he's slow, so I mean, whatever.
Right.
Do you like the status of our secondary? We haven't faced the Jets yet, but they arguably, Lazard's having a big year. He has like a ton of yards this year. They've got Garrett Wilson. Now they got Devontae Adams. They've arguably got the best wide receiver trio in the NFL. Is our secondary too banged up to contain that right now?
I don't know. I think a lot of the injuries that we have aren't ones that are going to take away from what these guys are able to do up here and what they can do schematically. I think sometimes when you have they face the same issues we have. At some point there's just too many weapons and only one ball to get around. So you got to try to figure out exactly where that ball is going. And adding Devontae, I feel like Ramsey exits him out of the situation, in my opinion, right? Mm-hmm. And a healthy Kendall Fuller, I think,
take out Garrett
and take out Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
That leaves Lazard with Kohu and whoever else they want to scheme to give him some help underneath or whatever the case may be. And schematically, I think you can still deal with the Jets, right? Because I think the front four and the linebacking core is gelling enough to be able to stop Breece Hall. So I don't. Buffalo is always a wild card because of Josh Allen's ad-lib ability, right? That's
right? Yeah.
The play breaks down, and he gets outside the pocket, and he running for the first down, and he getting out.
Plays out of structure.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So for me, I think really what it comes down to is just that we have the pieces, even though they're banged up. Everybody at this point is banged up. So I don't, unless you either hurt or you injured. You know what I'm saying? If you just hurt, then you can still play. But if you injured, then get out of the way so somebody else can get out there. And I think that, overall, we were going to do a really good job of ensuring that the best guys are out there. And schematically, I think we can deal with these teams down the stretch because the learning lessons for what they've got to do to adjust are happening now. You feel me? They're learning his scheme, and they've learned the nuances of most of what he wants to employ in these first couple of games. Because I think, admirably, the defense has done quite a decent
they have.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not really
number 5 total defense, number 3 against the pass. They're 18th against the run. Now, if the trade deadline comes along, I've said, yeah, we could use trench help on both sides. If you could get someone who could be, a better offer, something better from a zero tech standpoint, or even an edge player right now that could seal it off a little bit better against the run, because Chop's been a liability. I get it, but the Bills, you said something key, and I agree with it, because as soon as you said it, I thought back to the loss. As long as we execute, we can be competitive with the Bills or beat them. I mean, that whole loss came down to lack of execution. Dubois didn't execute. Tua didn't execute. All those interceptions, Robbie Chosen didn't execute, right? All those 3 interceptions, 2 of them were on receivers not executing, and 1 was on the quarterback not executing. Right. So, if they do execute on those plays, is that game out of hand? Well, who knows, because if Tua still gets hurt, but it's not out of hand probably like the way it got, or, by the third quarter, right? So I do agree with that. You know what I mean? You can stay in. Go ahead.
But you got to think too, we had a defense that's learning its identity, against a guy who really and truthfully all they did was plug and play, because the offense didn't change for Josh. You know what I'm saying? So they had an advantage. They had a very definitive advantage in that game, and unfortunately, when you turn the ball over, especially on the short end of the field, and give them that, that plays completely into the strengths of the other team and Cook. They were running the ball and all those other things. So, I think
that's the thing, BallGame. I think if they can stop that leaky run defense, then I've said. Right now, this defense can help us win games, right? We've seen it. Even games we've lost, they've tried to help us. Seattle, the Kohu interception inside the 10-yard line, they've tried to help us. Right. But if you fix that leaky run defense, this defense then I think can win you games.
Right, they're going to be a problem.
Yeah. Richmond, I wanted to ask you, because, you've played with injuries. What do you think about a safety back there playing with a potential hand wrap instead of a cast? Does this, let's be honest, is money that big of a motivator because he's in the contract year?
Yeah, I was reading that, and I guess the thing I'm wondering is that had to be cleared by the medical staff, because the one thing you don't want to do is go out there is make it worse. And normally the cast, you might can catch the ball or whatever like you normally could, but at least it provides protection and aids in the healing of the hand or whatever, whether he's got a fracture or whatever. But to go out there with a hand wrap is didn't provide as much stability and stuff. So I saw that and I was like, I think the medical staff had to okay that, but it is about money, but you want money long term. You don't want to cause an injury to where you really set yourself back and then you'll have problems throughout your career. So I'm hoping that's not the reason he's doing that. I'm hoping it's that, hey, you can either wear a cast or we can put this on and you see how it feels and goes through practice. And at the end of the day, you gotta know, because at times you're not going to just be defending against the pass. Every now and then you got to come and fill it up with the run. So you got that soft thing on, you hit it the wrong way, it's gonna hurt. So and you want to be able to help the team. You don't want to be out there and the next thing you got to come out, or you created more major injury worse to where now you're set back and you have to be out a lot longer. So I think he tries that in practice, but I think the only thing that kind of concerns me is if he has to come up and make a tackle, in the run game or something like that. How is that going to hold up, or how is that going to play out? So that would be my biggest concern right there.
Do we know the exact injury?
No, just apparently it's a broken hand and he had surgery.
Okay, so I'm telling you exactly what they're gonna do with that. They're gonna make sure they put that sleeve. First, they're gonna hit him with the num.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna put the sleeve over it, and they're gonna put that padding. They're gonna put the regular sleeve over it, the padded sleeve over it, and then they're gonna put his wrap over it. Yep. And that thing, he ain't gonna feel it. I'm telling you, they hit him with that num. You know what I'm saying? He gonna be, yeah. So I don't know. He gonna have to figure out how.
Well, did you see what he was doing at practice today? I don't know if you saw the clip.
No.
At practice today, he was catching balls with one hand, with his other hand, to show that he can still play the football and stuff. Yeah.
He should give him a deal.
But let me ask you this, because it's numb and you're not going to feel it, could that make it worse? It like in terms of the wear and tear it takes, even though you don't feel it?
Well, I'd have to believe that, like what Richmond said, the doctors have looked at it. If he's had it surgically repaired, they're gonna put him into the best situation that it's not gonna take and sustain a lot of direct damage or any more, right? Because if it was something that was gonna be vital to him actually being able to use the hand long term, I don't think he'd even be playing, bro. Like real talk, they shut him down. I think the Dolphins medical staff do an amazing job, I believe, of adhering to what's best for the player, and sometimes putting themselves in front of a player that's still willing to go out there and throw themselves into caution. You see what I'm saying? So if he's playing, I believe they've done their due diligence to make sure that thing is as stable as possible, even though it was broken. But if it's repaired, whatever he's putting over it is going to provide enough protection for him to be able to go out there and at least be able to play. So I don't think they'd let him jeopardize his career. So.
Well, can we all be honest with ourselves too? I mean, he is due for a new contract. He's probably looking at it like, I can't afford to miss this, right?
He begging and sitting down and talking to him. I'm good. Coach, I'm telling you, I'm good. I can do it. The doctor said I'm good. I just need to make sure we just do this and do this. And they're going to hit him with the numb. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be...
Yeah, this could probably affect his, maybe catching balls as far as interceptions, but
bat them down, no matter.
Still bat it down though, right?
Well, bat them down, and you technically play the defense and play it correctly like you should, and you can still come up and field. I think teams or anybody taking into consideration. So yeah.
That's it right there.
That's it. That's his wrap today that he's wearing.
Oh, he good.
So yeah, it's like exactly what you responded with the padding. Watch this. Watch.
Yeah, he good.
Okay, we good. So yeah, he's got the padding. He's good to go. But it's exactly what you described, BallGame. You can see the padding underneath and everything like that, right? The wrap.
We had to do it to Isaiah, man. I'm telling you, it's the same thing, bro. We've been through that.
What did he break? Finger?
Nah, he broke the third finger. Yeah, third finger on his non-dominant, the left hand.
Yeah. And that's his non-dominant hand.
Yeah.
Holland too. Bro, he's a beast. I just don't think – listen, I love Jevon Holland. I want him to stay. I just don't think they're going to pony up the money he's going to ask. That's the thing.
Safety, yeah.
Right? Like, I think I've heard he wants Antoine Winfield type of money, and Antoine Winfield got $20 million. I don't think they're – like, you look at our roster, I think we've got too many guys making, making that kind of money. Even if you do cut Chubb – and free up that money, they're probably going to want to spread out that cap space they get from Chubb, not give it right away to Jevon Holland. Now, obviously, you can structure it where the first year he has a lower cap hit, and you can back end it if you really want. But
the cap raises substantially.
Yeah. So I hope he stays, man. I really do, because I love Jevon Holland. He's easily the best safety we've had since Minka.
Yeah,
and him and Minka are the best guys we've had since Rashad Jones. So, we've been actually blessed with good safeties over the last 10 or 15 years. You know what I mean? The last 25 years.
I don't even think people realize how good Rashad Jones was until he was gone.
Oh, I loved Rashad Jones. He was one of my favorite players. Buddy, I think that was, I think that what you just said applies to. I think people didn't realize how good Jeremiah Bell was when we had him until he left.
Big hit.
Yeah, I loved Jeremiah Bell, man. We've been blessed with some good safeties over the last 20, 25 years.
Big hitter, big run fitter.
Yeah, he was a beast, man. I actually was a huge fan of him. So let's stick with the defense here. So first of all, before we get into it, your opinion right now, if you were the GM today, you got 3 weeks until you got 3 more games. So you got about 3 weeks and a bit until the trade deadline. Trade deadline is November 5th. Okay, you play the Colts, you play the Cardinals, and you play the Bills all by November 3rd. So you got 2 days till the trade deadline. Are you buyers or are you sellers right now? And staying pat is not an option. Are you buyers or are you sellers right now?
Buying.
What are you, Richmond?
Yeah, I would say buying. Yeah.
Okay, now I think we can all agree too. The problem you're into right now is there's a couple guys that are available. I mean, Tennessee Titans, Brunskill. I mean, you could probably go to the Raiders and get Cody Whitehair, who I wanted last year at the trade deadline. There are guys available for like interior options, but not clear away dominant starters or elite guys available, because O-line's probably the hardest position to trade for, especially mid-season, because teams that are tanking but have their quarterback, they want that foundation in place to get more pieces around the quarterback. Teams that are tanking to get a quarterback, they're probably not going to take away from the offensive line, because they're going to want to draft a quarterback and have the best offensive line available for him possible, right? So you take those things into effect. We all saw the Aiden Hutchinson injury. You guys all saw the Aiden Hutchinson injury, correct? Yeah, terrible. So now the Lions have come out and they have said that they are going to not mortgage the future. And words come out that Max Crosby and even Myles Garrett, they're probably not available, even with the recent Amari Cooper trade and even with the recent Adams trade. Those guys are looked at as like cornerstone pieces right now.
Smart.
Yeah. So guys that are on the training block is a guy like Azeez Ojulari, right? Had 8.5 sacks as a rookie a couple years ago from the Giants. He's apparently available. But a name that's popped up over the last 24 hours is Emmanuel Ogbah. Now, NFL.com, they put out an article about 7 intriguing players who they think are going to be available at the trade deadline. And 7 players, guys. So they got like Josh Uche on there. They got Greg Newsome, Cooper Kupp, they think might be available, Deontay Johnson, Andre Sisco, Treylon Burks, but they also have Emmanuel Ogbah. Now, they say he's turning 31 in early in November. He's still putting in work, ranking 3rd among Dolphins players in pressures per Next Gen Stats, and he's scrapping together a pair of sacks on defense that ranks 3rd in passing yards allowed, but has not been able to compensate for a feckless offense. So it says at this point, the 2 and 3 Finns could give Ogbah a chance to hunt QBs on a contender. Then you had the Sporting News come out with a report about 10 hours ago, actually about 11 hours ago now. And they were talking about a potential trade between the Detroit Lions and the Miami Dolphins for Emmanuel Ogbah to help with the pass rush in Detroit right now. Where are you guys on this? Because I'll give you my thoughts real quick on this. I think Emmanuel Ogbah has been one of our best edge defenders this year. Okay. I think losing Shaq Barrett to retirement was kind of been a blessing, because that made you force your hand to go bring back Ogbah, and Ogbah's been fantastic. Now, do we all wish they kept AVG? 110%. But is AVG a better scheme fit under Flores than he is under Weaver? Also 110%. Would he have gotten as many opportunities here? Probably, with some injuries, but he wouldn't have been viewed in the same light Flores views him as the way Weaver does, because Weaver basically okayed him leaving. So what are your guys' thoughts on this? You guys both said we would be buyers right now. If they came around and they're offering a 4th or 5th round pick for Emmanuel Ogbah, he's only on a 1-year deal. Do you take the cash out, or do you ride it out with Emmanuel Ogbah? Because remember, you haven't activated Mo Kamara. You still got a kid. You can go out there and see what you got. But clearly the coaching staff doesn't trust him if they haven't activated him yet. You just added Tyus Bowser, who got a whole bunch of snaps for being his first week, in the building. Would you guys be interested in trading him for a 3rd or 4th round? A 4th or 5th round pick? Or is Emmanuel Ogbah someone you would be waiting for the next 3 weeks to play out? And if we lose the next 3 games before the deadline, then okay, become a seller and sell off guys. Where would you guys be with Emmanuel Ogbah right now? And the Lions do make a ton of sense.
I'll go first because BallGame knows more about defense than I do. But I think one of the key things for me, and you would have to really be inside the building, is saying, okay, when do we truly project Tua to come back? If I'm going to get off of because he's been consistent. The defense is playing, like we all said, they're playing well enough to where if the offense gets it together, we could be in a much better position. But if this is going to be, Tua's going to be out another, say, 6 to 8 weeks. I don't know. I'm just giving an example. I think maybe you consider that because you got to look at the backup quarterbacks that we got now. I think Huntley can get the job done, but do you scrap the season or do you say, I think we're going to keep him because we really got a legitimate shot to be back in a couple of weeks. And, I think we're in a good enough shape to where we can make a run. But I think the thing for me is if I'm looking at it like a GM or owner, say, okay, how long is my quarterback going to be out? Because we know this is a totally different offense with Tua in there versus anybody else. I mean, he just fits the scheme. McDaniel, kind of tailored this around him. I think that for me, that's the big question mark is, and I know they say he'll be back this year, but they hadn't been specific. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't tell them either because that kind of helps team prepare to say, okay, well, he'll be back in 3 weeks. So we know this or that. But that will probably be the question to make me determine to say, okay, do we think we got a legitimate shot to still make the playoffs? I know like I said, we one game out of first place now. Can we make it make it through this little bump until Tua gets back, and then we're back at it? We feel good about it, or if not, and we say, well, we don't know, he's going to be out too long. Maybe let's get that third or fourth pick, and maybe we can, grab some in the draft. I think that will be the determining factor for me. But I love Agbo. I think he's one of the most consistent defensive players right now, and I would really be looking to keep him. But that would be probably the determining factor for me before I would trade him away is where is Tua at truly, or where we think he is. And I know they hadn't said it, but I think inside the building, they kind of got a better idea of possibly when he'll be back.
Where are you at, BallGame?
I think for me, when I look at 2 of the 3 games that we have coming up, those are winnable games, which push us above 500, which means that you're still in the thick of things. I think there's a lot of teams out here that got, some wins that they didn't deserve, and the AFC is outside of Kansas City, really and truthfully, with the Bengals struggling the way they're struggling, and nobody else over there, nobody's really contending other than Kansas City. So the thing's wide open. You still got a shot. You're still in the game. You're not at any point out of it. So I'm not willing to part with a piece that I know can help me because I don't know what Bradley's doing. I don't know the status of Bradley. There's a reason Mo Kamara is probably not playing. There's something that happened that maybe they just don't trust yet. And maybe we was just leaning more towards having veterans that he's seen do the things that he needs to get done. And I'm okay with that. You got to play chop because he's a first-round pick, but his reps are kind of limited too. And if that's the mindset for me, my mindset is if I'm bringing guys in that I know have performed for me before, then I still feel like I have a shot. So I'm not going to send a piece away in hopes of potentially getting something for later when I got to win now. So I think, and when it's all said and done, you look at the film, Agba is wreaking havoc. He's allowing other guys too, because of how violent he is and how effectively he's working within the scheme. He's allowing other guys to make plays too, because they have to really pay attention to him. And if you lose that guy, who he's been since they installed him into the defense, then who else? Then what do you have? Because Jalen's gone now, right? So, and I'd rather have one guy that I know without a shadow of a doubt on one side of my D line is going to give me
and he can
everything.
set the edge.
And he can set the edge and give me everything he's got. And I can figure out what I need to do on this other side, but I'm not going to give away that piece just for a piece that I don't know what I'm getting. So that's just me.
If you traded away Agba, this would be your basic. These would be your edge players: Chop Robinson, Tyus Bowser, Mo Kamara. Mo Kamara was on the injury report today. He was limited with I believe he was limited with an ankle. He was on the injury report today. And then you'd have Chop, Tyus Bowser, Mo Kamara, Quentin Bell, Bradley Chubb returning. And then on the practice squad, you got Derek McLendon and you got William Bradley King. So, if you knew you were going to get Bradley Chubb back, It would make a little bit more sense then. But right now, basically, if you trade him right now,
that guy right now.
yeah, Chop Robinson would be like your top edge rusher right now.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
You know, like, and then you'd be mixing in Tyus Bowser and Quentin Bell. And, you know, Quentin Bell hasn't been as impressive as everyone hyped him up to be, you know, during training camp, right? Like, he just hasn't been. Now, if you lose the next 3 games and you're sitting at, you're sitting at 2-6.
Yeah, not as different.
Now we're talking, Emmanuel Ogbah might not be the only one getting a chance to, you know, play for. No, but serious, because you know what? Can I be honest with you? With the way Calais Campbell has left everything on the field for us at his age, he deserves to play for a contender.
That's facts.
I mean, he's 38. How much time does he have left?
He won't leave. He loves Weaver. That's the problem.
Yeah.
He's loyal to a fault.
Well, hey, I'll keep him because at this rate, you know, I'd sign him for another year if he can keep this up.
Yeah.
I keep signing him as long as he can keep this up. He's been good, man. He's been fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, if he was young enough to give us the amount of snaps Christian could too, never mind not noticing Christian left, we might have upgraded.
Right.
Sorry, Jennifer.
He's always been a dog, though.
Yeah, he is a dog because he's a lead. I like his style of leadership too.
Yeah.
I like the vocal lead by example. You know, I thought we had too many jokers at one point in the locker room. You know what I mean? You know, and that's how you get that country club atmosphere. You know, but now Christian led by example is playing on the field.
That's that young boy. That's some young boy energy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Old vets, they just pick up the lunch pail and go to work. Not a lot of talking, more action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean Heller, he donates $10, and I actually talked about this yesterday. He said, if the Browns are sellers, which they seem to be, Joel Bitonio looks like a nice option to me. He's not young, but given that win might not be available anytime soon, I like it. All pro. I talked about this yesterday. I agree 110%. I just don't think that's a move. I think you'd have to watch how the Browns do closer to the trade deadline. Like today, I don't think you could pry away, you know, a former all-pro interior offensive lineman from them. I just don't think you could, you know, especially because they probably think they got the defense and the players to continue to make a run here if they get the quarterback situation figured out. Now, are they going to eventually bench Watson and go to Jameis Winston? It might be too late by the time they do that. But yeah. Batonio is someone who I mentioned yesterday on the show. He would be someone I would 110% be interested in, but I just don't know if they'd be willing to sell a key interior piece like that right now.
When I said, man, going away from football is one thing. You might be able to take a year off and then come back and be halfway decent, but football is one of those sports where you can't take 2 years off and then expect to come back and it be where you was when you walked away from it.
Bro.
That kid looks horrible right now, bro. And it's like, I was like,
me and EM talk about this all the time because back when he was away from football, I used to say to EM, because, you know, EM was one of the advocate supporters for adding Deshaun Watson.
Right.
And I would say to him, I said, bro, you know, we know Vic was away for a year, was away for a couple years, but he was never the same type of quarterback. He had to learn to be a pocket passer. He changed his whole style. He was a great learner, and, you know, right? And
change.
I would say to him all the time, bro, I would say to him, I imagine if Deshaun Watson falls off. Now we say this, no one saw him falling this far off the cliff, though.
No.
Like this is like
not like this.
No, like we all saw him taking a step back, but no one saw him. Like he has fallen off the cliff, and now he has arguably the worst contract in sports.
Yeah, well, they gave him guaranteed.
Yeah,
he got the best.
He got the best part of that deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy jeez. Right now, I took a poll. We've got 126 votes. Would you trade Ogbah to the Lions for day 3 pick? And right now, 70% say no right now.
Smart.
Over 515 of you in the room. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Tyreek Hill, he's been a topic of recent discussion about a trade to the Kansas City Chiefs. He was live on Twitch. This is what he said during that stream?
You said you a fans fan, you hoping I don't leave? I ain't going nowhere, bro. Don't listen to my Twitter. That Twitter account just be trolling.
So you got this man admitting he's a troll and getting everyone riled up. But let me ask you this. You lose those next 3 games. Is Tyreek Hill a potential name you're looking at clearing up some cap space so you can be a player, or you can get some picks back for him? I mean, all of a sudden, this wide receiver market is crazy right now, being moved around. You're paying him $30 million. You're paying Jalen Waddle $28.5 million, $58.5 million between 2 guys. And look at the production we've gotten so far. What would you guys be doing in terms of Tyreek? Is Tyreek untouchable to you?
I don't think so. I think it's kind of like the poll just said, if you lose the next 3 games, I think that changes everything. You win the next 3. It all happened. It all, it's circumstantial. But if you lose 3 or 4 of them, you can be like, do we really need all this? If you can unload some of that and get some draft picks, and like we say every year, the way they developing wide receivers in college now, you can get you a young receiver and really save on the cap and all that, and add a couple of other players, and you got a young up and coming another star, and you don't miss it as much. So yeah, I think he's probably clowning, trolling around and stuff like that. But people do strange things when you start losing or whatever, and they be like, man, this don't make what made sense before doesn't make sense now. So,
well, okay, Richmond and BallGame. This is why I say this. We know we've already seen him get a little verbally, visibly frustrated on the sideline. We've already seen it, right? Right now during the losing streak, right? When the losing streak was going on, there was a picture of him on the sideline throwing his head back. We saw him yelling at McDaniel, whatever, too. If we lose 3 more games and we're out of contention here, I mean, is this going to become a thing where he might want it too?
I can see that. When a player gets disgruntled, and I always think as a head coach, you still got to maintain respect. I mean, you can go back and forth with me, but if you start letting 1 or 2 guys disrespect you, then you can lose the locker room like that, or you have other guys saying, well, this guy's doing it, I'm going to just go up and say what I want to say. I think you always got to, even though some of those guys might make more money than you or whatever, it's a respect factor, and you got to respect your head coach, and you got to demand respect. So if it got out of hand like that, I'd be like, yeah, he's a hell of a player, but he needs to go, because that can filter throughout the locker room, and it'll really be a bad. And I'm not saying he would do that. I'm just saying if you got a player that disgruntled and that disrespectful, I think you need to try to find him another home.
And if you were to trade him, you would save $19.25 million. You take on dead money of $12.728, but you would save $19.25 million if you traded him.
What are you getting for him? If Adams went for a third, what are you getting for him?
See, that's the thing. Like, I wanted to good point, BallGame, because that's something I forgot to bring up yesterday on the show. Did we overpay for Tyreek Hill, given what these teams were just paying for Davante Adams and Amari Cooper? Now, I will be the first one to tell you, when Tyreek Hill is on his game, he's the best player in the NFL, but we also need Tua to be here, right? We need Tua to be a part of that. But if you remember, we gave up a first, right? We gave up a fourth. I mean, we gave up a lot for him, right?
I don't think so. I think 2 years ago, when you think about where he was and what he just come off of doing, that was pretty much that.
We traded 5 picks, BallGame. We've traded a first, a second, 2 fourths, and a 6th
for the best for at that time, arguably the best wide receiver in the game. That was 2 seasons ago, right?
Yeah.
So fast forward now with Davante Adams being left and being in Raidersville, his value dropped a bit. Although we don't know what he's going to look like. Even he's hoping he can get back to some of that Green Bay form with Aaron Rodgers. But in the same sense, he's 2 years older now, so I get it. But I thought he would. I thought they could have at least got a second for him, but they got a third. So I don't think we'd have to. I mean, I don't know what we get for Tyreek. I mean, I still believe that Tyreek's probably top 3 in the league, but shit, man, ain't nobody. I mean, he's aging too. Like he's right there at that age where they start saying, yeah.
What do you think you could get for him right now?
Maybe
like a second and a fourth?
Yeah, second and a fourth.
Like we don't think we'd get a first for him, do we?
No, ain't nobody gonna do that. Not unless like somebody like the Chargers. I'm just saying,
he's right though.
But they got an extremely young
or the Patriots because May has nothing. You know what I mean? Or the Steelers seem pretty desperate to add someone, right? They've been in on Brandon Ayuk. They've been in on what's his face, Devontae Adams, right? So like they've been pretty desperate to add something, right? So
they finna change quarterbacks,
or you just send them to Cleveland.
I don't think Tyreek's been bad enough to us to do that to him.
No. Like I personally wouldn't trade him. That like just from me, I wouldn't trade him. But I mean, if he gets unhappy and if he wants to go to a contender, I mean, that's what the discussion is based around. Personally, I wouldn't trade him, but especially when Tua comes back, we'll need him.
Bro,
but
think about the landscape though. Dak got his money, CD got his money, and they can't buy it. They can't buy a win.
Yeah, well,
this entire process, this entire paying these crazy salaries, don't match up to the.
Tua got his money, Waddle got his money, Tyreek got his money, and we couldn't buy a win after Tua went down.
And these dudes, it's happening all over. Look at Burrow over there, bro. Like they're struggling, man, and they still ain't paid. And they probably won't pay Chase. They probably won't because they're owning the Browns owner for a fact. That dude said, "I don't renegotiate contracts."
Well, the other thing too is BallGame. You know what they're probably asking themselves? Was that trip to the Super Bowl our shot? Were we a one and done? Because that's the thing you've got to ask about this, okay? For all the people that call Tua's numbers, oh, they were hollow. We didn't win a playoff game. His there'll be detractors out there last year that said his league leading passing yards don't mean anything because we didn't win a playoff game. So then to those people I ask, what do Tyreek's back-to-back 1,700 plus yard seasons mean? Did we really win the trade if we haven't won a playoff game yet? We gave him how much money so far, right? We've restructured his contract. We gave him a new contract. We've already restructured it and given him more money. And we gave up, like we went over all those draft picks for him, and we don't even have a playoff win yet. Like that's the reality of the situation. So, like that's the thing. All these people want to just hold Tua accountable to these things, but you got to hold other players accountable to that same standard. And Tyreek is one of those players you'd have to bring into that conversation if you're holding Tua to that. So, anyways, we'll see how it all plays out. But I don't know. I wouldn't trade him.
No.
So, did the Indianapolis Colts today try to get a competitive advantage against the Miami Dolphins? Guys, they signed Salvin Ahmed to their practice squad today. Now, why do I think this is interesting and why am I even bringing this up? Remember before the Bills game, who did they sign? Mike White. Right? Yeah. Right before hey, this has happened to us twice now in 6 games. A third of our games they've signed, and Ahmed's been in our offense the whole time McDaniel's been here.
That's true.
Right? So do you see this as the Colts trying to get a competitive advantage? And what are your guys' thoughts on this game this weekend? Because I was surprised that they went and benched Flacco and are going back to Anthony Richardson, because Anthony Richardson, he's been a turnover machine. He has major accuracy issues, Sure, can he make plays with his legs? 110%. But Flacco had a game where he threw for 359 yards and the Colts put up 34 points. They put up 30 plus points. They lost, but they still put up great numbers with Flacco. And guys, just so you guys get a little bit of a comparison before you guys, go in and give your thoughts here. All right. Right now, as you look at it with the Indianapolis Colts and the two quarterbacks they have right now, Flacco has a 65.7 completion percentage. In 3 games, he's thrown for 716 yards. One of those games he came in relief for Richardson. He has 7 touchdowns to 1 pick. Okay? He's averaging 238.7 yards per game. Anthony Richardson played in 4 games. He has a 50.6 completion percentage, 654 yards, 3 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. He also has 3 fumbles. Okay? He's averaging 163.5 yards per game. Now, you'd say, okay, but he runs. Well, guess what? He's only averaging about 35.3 yards per game. So you add that up, that's about 198 that's about 198 yards per game total from the line of scrimmage, and Flacco's still out throwing that at 238.7. What are your thoughts going into this game against the Colts this weekend?
I'll tell you, from my opinion, I think they're making a shift back to him because they need to know for certain, right? Any organization, when you take a kid with a first-round pick the way they did with him, you need to know if he's actually can be the guy for the future or not. And although Flacco had performance to keep them in the position they're currently in right now and make games competitive, Flacco's not their future. So I know their GM and everybody's pounding the table saying, "Is he ready? Can he go? Can he go? We need to know. We need to know." So
yeah,
that's exactly what's happening here. Unfortunately for them, you got a team that's still in a space where their defense is forming and figuring things out. They've been pretty solid group up to this point, and an offense led by Mike now that's been kind of structured down to be balanced across the board with a decent running attack, you know what I'm saying? And they still got 2 premier wide receivers out there and a tight end once they get him involved in the game that can cause them problems. So it's going to be a long weekend for Anthony Richardson, in my opinion. But the coach got to do what the coach got to do, and I don't at any point take anything away from the fact that they need to know if this kid can be the answer for them long term. So, and maybe they're looking at us being a team that's not much better than them in their minds. So this would be a game that they feel comfortable putting him out there against us to see what he can generate. You know what I mean? Because
I feel like it's a bad move by them, BallGame, because Jonathan Taylor is out. He did not practice today with an ankle. Michael Pittman is out. All right, he's hurt. And they're even missing their center. Right. Even their center isn't practicing right now. Right. So they're super banged up. And Flacco, he's 2-1. What are your thoughts, Richmond, on this? The game?
I agree with BallGame. I think the only thing you got to look at from the coach standpoint is you do got to find out what he can do. But even when they drafted him, I thought he was really raw. I think he has a ton of upside, but how quick is he going to develop and turn into that guy that you want him to be? And I think it wasn't no secret that he was really raw coming out of Florida or whatever. But, his numbers, running the 40, his size and all that, he had all that. So if you can get him to put it together, fine. But like you said, he got hurt last year. This year he comes back. This is his second year, and he's really got to hone in as far as his, passing skills, getting his completion percentage up, stuff like that. I don't know if he's working with, possible quarterback coaches or whatever in the offseason to kind of help speed up his development bit. I think you bring up a good point. Do they think this is a winnable game against the Dolphins based on we don't have our starting quarterback and just kind of see, what he can do. But, now teams, if they don't think you're gonna be the answer, they will move off of you fairly quickly now. So this could be something to just say, okay, let's put him back out there, see if he can get it done. And if not, I agree. Flacco is definitely not the answer. He's been in the league, for quite some time now. He's a backup, but you're not looking at him to be there the next 4 or 5 years. So
yeah,
if Richardson's not the answer, they'll probably be looking in the draft again to possibly draft a quarterback. So that's the only thing that kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah. How do you guys see this game going? What are your predictions?
It's hard for me to pick against the dog. I think the thing is
low scoring affair.
I think it's low scoring. I think you're playing in a dome. Stadium is going to be loud.
17-9. I think
who got the 17?
Oh, us for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think even with Huntley back there, I think we still boast the better offense, and we have the better defense. So for me, I don't know if we're gonna light up the scoreboard, but I do know we're gonna be alignment and assignment sound, and I think with him having his two top weapons out, that diminishes his ability to be able to be as productive as he possibly could have been. Let's be clear, Michael Pittman is a problem when he's out on the field, and Jonathan Taylor as well. So, and I always like to make this caveat: Isaiah held Michael Pittman to 0 catches where he was at, and then they played against each other in high school. So 0. He ain't had no catches whatsoever. Yeah, this is a winnable game. This is a confidence game. This is a game where they can go out there and get back to fundamental football and just, continue to work on their alignment and assignment, toughness, run the ball, keep running the ball, Mike, give Huntley some play action, stretch the field with Reek and Waddle, open up the seams, with Jonnu, do the things that are going to get these guys acclimated and ready for when Uno actually returns, and then it's a seamless transition. So,
what's your prediction in Richmond?
I didn't think about the score prediction, but I do agree that I think it's pivotal that we get the running game going, and I really like what we saw 2 weeks ago where we were able to run inside the tackles with Wright, HN, and Moses. They all got different styles, but when you can run inside the tackles rather than study trying to stretch the field and get to the corners, I think that'll sometimes cause you to bring a safety or somebody else up in the box and to open up opportunities in the pass game. But score, I go 17-13 Dolphins. I think it's going to be low scoring. I don't think it's going to be a high. But as long as we get the win, I'm happy with that. But I think if we can get the running game going, control the time of possession, even though it's a low-scoring game, it takes pressure off of Huntley. It takes pressure off the offensive line where they're not steady dropping back and going on silent count and stuff like that. I think it plays to our favor if we can get that done, and then that keeps our defense fresh. And then they go out and play the way they're starting to come together and play more consistently. So I do think it's a winnable game, and it'll be good to get to 500. So that's what I'm thinking there.
Don't tease me with 500, which is way below what my expectations were supposed to be for where we're supposed to be at this point of the season. This is where we're supposed to be making up ground and stretching out our record a little bit into the win column. So, and then you got to account for the fact if Tua comes back for Arizona, he's going to be rusty, and then second game back, he's got to face the Buffalo Bills. So, Ryan Fitzpatrick, he was on the Russ Tucker pod, and he said something interesting, and I wanted to get your opinion on this, Richmond, because he's kind of talking about the competitive nature of being an athlete here, and this is in regards to Tua and his concussion. So I'll play the clip.
Two of the more visible games that he got concussions in, one was the Thursday night versus the Bengals a few years ago, which was our game. That was kind of a welcome to TV moment for me where I had to then, watch him kind of go out of the stadium in a stretcher and then talk about it at halftime. And I was like, okay, that's new to me. And then this last year versus Buffalo, same thing. He goes down. I think the most important thing is it's his decision. I mean, he's going to talk to all the doctors. He's going to collect all the information. But, right when that happened, there was so much talk about, hey, if I was him, I would retire. I'd never play again. But just as well as I do, like this also is like something that we've all strived for in our lives. Like he's the ultimate competitor. He loves playing football. He loves his team. I just hope that he doesn't feel like if he doesn't play, then he's letting everybody down. He needs to make this decision with a clear mind based on what is best for me and my family and my future. And that being said, like he loves playing the game of football. So I don't think it's right for us to try to make this decision for him and to take that away from him.
So Fitz makes a lot of good points that I agree with about how it's his decision, but he made a key point there, and I don't think anyone's thought about this, and I've heard no one talk about this from this perspective, and it was a key point. And as a former player, Richmond, what about what he said? Where I just hope that he doesn't feel like if he doesn't play, then he's letting everybody down. We know how tight Tua is with McDaniel and how McDaniel believed in Tua. We know how much Tyreek and Waddle believe in Tua and how much really the team does, the players around him. Is that a real mentality when you're dealing with a serious injury like that?
Oh, no question. Anytime you're hurt and you always feel, man, if I was out there, I know I could make a difference, especially when you're struggling. And sometimes it's hard, even when the team is winning without you. But when they're definitely losing, and then you know that if you were out there, you feel you could make a significant difference in some of those games. Not saying you win all of them, but
yeah,
we would be a lot more productive and stuff like that. I think everybody plays that out in their mind, and it's just the way a team sport is. It's not like golf or whatever you used to. You've been told that since little league or whatever. Don't be the weak link. We win as a team, we lose as a team. So that's been instilled in him, and like he's a competitor. I think the thing that's different now than when I played, if you had a concussion or something, they would hold you out for a week, and I think they did it, but I don't think the protocol was as strict back when I played. And so
it's obviously not as strict as they try to make it believe today with what's happened with Josh Allen and Joe Burrow the last couple of weeks too.
So yeah. Oh yeah. Josh took a nice lick though. Yeah, you're right.
You see Burrow though on that night game, he got his head rocked too off the turf or the ground.
And sometimes you ain't even gotta go in the tent. That you kind of got rocked, but sometimes you can kind of shake it off and stay out there, even though you shouldn't. They be like, yeah, you are. You be like, yeah, because it's the competitive nature that you don't want to show weakness or that somebody done got you. So if it's any way possible, you can do it. But that's why they normally have you go to the doctors. Go ahead, Bob.
Did Neighbors play last game?
No.
So they're doing right by him then, because he was.
Well, look at. Did you see what happened to Olave? Did you see what happened to Olave?
Yeah.
That's his fourth concussion since Ohio State and third concussion in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Buddy, I think he got knocked out because he fumbled the ball.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think he got knocked out because he fumbled the ball.
Yeah.
So let's see how no one's screaming for Olave to retire, and that's a more impact position than quarterback.
I think he was out before he hit the ground, though.
Olave took it, man. It was crazy. Yeah. So, quickly, a minute each. Final thoughts?
Hey, let's pick up where we left off. For me, I think the key is establishing the running game. And I think for me, the key is, even when Tua get back, is to stick with the running game in some form to, take pressure off of him. And I think it'll make him in the offense even more productive if we have a more balanced attack versus, putting him in a situation where he's got to throw the ball 35, 40 times. He does a great job of that. But balance, I think, helps us overall. It helps our defense, time, possession, this and that. So let's go to Indy and get a W this weekend. That's what I'm rooting for.
Yeah, I think for me, balance is going to be the key theme going forward for the rest of the season, right? Where you keep people guessing, right? I mean, last 2 years, we got too involved with all of that extra motion stuff and all that kind of stuff, and people catch on to it and they know kind of where you want to go because you're showing them the same thing, even though the routes are different. It's still the same motion and the team people you're targeting. So getting back to fundamental ball or running the ball keeps everybody honest across the board. And I just think we're going to potentially be able to transition from one leader to another leader with Tua coming back healthy and being able to take over from Huntley if Mike continues the balance piece. And as long as they stick together and they believe that they still got a chance, then I think a lot of good things can happen for them because the talent's still there. So it's not we're not devoid of talent. It's just the leadership changed for a minute, and Mike has to keep things fundamental, right? Yeah. Fundamental football still wins because that's how Kansas City winning. So.
Yeah. Well, you know, like we've talked about this before, like every 5-7 years there's a shift. And it seems like we're going back to that power because everyone is so dead set on with those too high shells trying to beat these explosive pass attacks that now the weakness to most defenses is becoming
right up the middle
in the football. So, you know, and that's going to cause people to want to beef up these offensive lines. And I think that's why you're going to see guards getting paid the way Robert Hunt did, et cetera, because now running the football is going to matter. So, guys, smash the like button, subscribe if you are new. I'm going to be back tomorrow around 5 o'clock. Me and Neil Driscoll for Fin Too Deep. We're going to talk some, some draft. We got some draft news to discuss and everything like that. So make sure you tune in. Over 500 of you watching today. Appreciate all y'all. Like I said, smash that like button. We'll see you on the next one. Until then, fins up all day, every day. Have a fantastic rest of the evening, everyone.